So I decided to talk about, since I just reviewed the Incredibles 2 movie, finally, I decided to talk about some OC villains I created over the years, thinking about like a very own rogues gallery for the Incredibles. Basically, I made a ton of OC villains for them to fight, essentially. So, let's get started. Starting off with the first villain, Rex Remus. Now, obviously, Rex Remus is the play on to Lex Luthor. Remus is pretty much the Lex Luthor to Mr. Incredible's Superman. He doesn't have any powers. He's more or less just a genius. He is essentially a mad genius who was more or less jealous of all the power that Mr. Incredible had. He wanted to be incredible. He wanted to be Mr. Incredible, but but he didn't have any powers like him. So he decided, if I can't beat him, be him, I'll kill him. Also, very egotistical like Luthor, and wanted to be the number one. So, yeah, he was the mad genius to take on Mr. Incredible multiple times. From building power armors to death rays to killer robots, he did it all to take on Mr. Incredible, until he was eventually locked up for, he was finally convicted of his crimes and locked away in life imprisonment. And that's where he stayed, but he always thought, hey, my money backed the whole, I got the last laugh because my money backed politicians into making the anti-superhero laws. So, I'm going to jail on a high note. And then this shit happened after Incredibles 2, and he's like, oh no. So, when everyone says, oh, he can't break out, he breaks out and commits to, I apparently gotta do my own shit again. I gotta kill Mr. Incredible by myself again. He also figures out really quick, he's like, oh, Mr. Incredible has a family. He's made himself a bigger target now. He's made himself a bigger target than before. Wonderful. This is gonna be fun. So there's a little bit about Rex Remus. Also, not bald. Not bald. Horribly scarred, though. In their first encounter, Rex's face was horribly scarred during his first battle with Mr. Incredible, and that kind of only made him, want to kill him even more. So, there's a bit about him. So, next one, and this is actually a character that was created by Rex Remus, and that is Thrashosaurus Rex, as in Wreck, like Wreck-It Ralph. But yeah, Thrashosaurus Rex. I know, most stupid name ever. Basically, what he is that Rex wanted to have someone who could physically challenge Mr. Incredible. So he got in touch with a scientist who could actually was a genetic expert, who was this genetic madman, and spliced dinosaur DNA with a soldier suffering from PTSD, who Remus furthered his mental instability by saying that Mr. Incredible was anti-American, superheroes are not for America, and drove this poor guy insane, and then spliced his DNA with T-Rex DNA and made him into a man Rex. So, he was more of a brawler kind of opponent, kind of like Metallo in a way, or like Rhino or something like that. That was kind of the idea, is that he's more of a physical opponent. Thrashosaurus was more like a opponent for Mr. Incredible to fight. Following that, here another villain I thought up was Dr. Geist, and Dr. Geist is actually a villain for Elastigirl. Dr. Geist was this woman who essentially her powers her powers were given to her after a explosion happened in her lab that more or less destroyed her physical body and she had to infect her body. I'm getting tongue-tied here. I'm sorry. Her body was basically destroyed in a lab accident that she wasn't supposed to be testing on, and her body was destroyed and turned into ectoplasm. However, she formed a suit and proceeded to kill everyone, because it turns out her boss essentially sabotaged her work and tried to claim it as his own. So that kind of led her to go on a bit of a killing spree. So Dr. Geist actually has a lot of powers like a ghost. You know, she can walk through walls, she can fly, very intelligent, and also she can also come out of her suit and possess people. She can come out of her suit, possess people, and take them over. And use even human body shields. Like if she was being chased by Elastigirl, possesses a kid, use the kid as a literal human shield to, carry out her work. So yeah, Dr. Geist was an enemy for Elastigirl. Following that is what was another one? Oh yeah, Amalgam. Amalgam was a villain for every hero. What he is that his power comes from. He basically has the ability to absorb other people's powers. But rather than just be like, oh, it's like Rogue where it wears off for a while, after a while, no, he keeps those powers, and he gets them by absorbing the energy, the life force from heroes after he kills them. He's kind of like a mix of well, his ideology is that, only one person should have this power, one person should be burdened with the power of gods, and that heroes, heroes do more harm than good. And if I have to take if my power is to take your powers away, then that's a sign that I must be I must be burdened with your powers, so the world isn't burdened by them. That's his ideology. So he's kind of like a mixture of Stain. If Stain's quirk was One for All's power, that's kind of what it is. So yeah, but he has multiple powers. And in fact, another thing I added is that he is the son of Edna. He's Edna Mole's son. And when he went on his first rampage and killed several heroes and took their powers, that's what kind of drove Edna to design super suits for heroes, because it was her way of paying people back, the superhero community back for, her son's, massacre. So yeah, also, Amalgam was battling multiple heroes at once one day. They thought they killed him, he didn't, he went underground, and since the superhero laws came into effect, he had been going around globally, hunting down and killing and absorbing the powers of missing supers. He'd hunt them down, and he had been doing this for years, and when he first started out, he only had 5 powers. Now, he has 30. He has 30 different powers, and he's always wanted to hunt down and kill Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl and the other, all superheroes. He especially wants to kill Jack-Jack. He especially wants to kill Jack-Jack and take his powers, not just because this kid has has polymorphic abilities similar to mine, and I could just get a menagerie of powers just from killing and absorbing his powers, but not only that, he thinks Jack-Jack's like the next generation of heroes cannot be. It cannot be a thing, or mankind will never advance. We will be ruled by gods, and if I am to be a god, let me be a god killer. So he wants to especially kill Jack-Jack, but he has no problem killing Dash and Violet too. So there's Amalgam. But yeah, he has powers ranging from fire abilities to super strength. In fact, he's way stronger than Mr. Incredible because he's killed so many superheroes with super strength that his power is way beyond Mr. Incredible's. He also has wind power. He can turn himself into sand. He can make his body into stone. 30 different powers. I can't, I'm not going to list them all off. But yeah, he's murdered 30 superheroes. That's all you need to know. Anyway, so moving right along. What was another one? Oh yeah, what was another villain? Oh yeah, Elemental. Ella was her name, and she was a college friend of Elastigirl. And actually, the lab accident in my headcanon is that Elastigirl got her powers from a lab accident. And what happened was the lab accident was an explosion of all these different elements put together in a machine. Elastigirl got her elastic abilities, but Elemental got all the other powers of the periodic table except rubber. It also made her mentally unstable because she took the full blast of it, And the reason why she's called elemental is because all of her powers, she can control the periodic table with her mind and become those periodic elements all at once. She's essentially Elastigirl's arch enemy. She's Elastigirl's arch nemesis. So there's a bit about that. What was another one? Oh yeah, Richter Scale. Richter Scale. He is another Elastigirl villain. He's another Elastigirl villain who essentially his powers are he can create earthquakes. That's pretty much it. Is that he can create these powerful earthquakes, kind of like Avalanche in a way. Then we have Heatstorm. Heatstorm, I was working on a better name, but all the good fire names are taken. He is actually Frozone's archenemy and his brother. Yeah, the whole evil brother thing. But he's more like a vigilante, if anything. He's not really a villain. He just uses his power to a more extreme level. That's kind of what it is that he uses his abilities for a more extreme case, and that's why they kind of butt heads multiple times. So yeah, fire and ice against one another. What was another good villain? What was another villain I thought up for the Incredibles to fight? Oh yeah, I had a villain for the kids. I had villains for the kids. There was Clockwise. Clockwise was this young this young kid who had superpowers, and his power was that he could actually. It wasn't so much speed. He wasn't so much a speedster. He was slowing down time around his body and moving at a regular speed, but it looked like he had super speed, kind of like Hunter Zolomon's, Professor Zoom. So he was kind of Dash's enemy, because at first he was like a bad influence on Dash, and was like, yeah, why shouldn't we use this power for our own gain? And Dash was like, that's not really what superheroes do. And he's like, fine, I'll just fucking kill you. So yeah, he's more of Dash's enemy, but he'll take on Violet as well. Violet has her own enemy, by the name of what was her name? Umbra. Yeah, Umbra was pretty much a goth girl who could create shadow monsters. She could summon shadow monsters to her. Like, she could turn literal shadows into monsters and make them into, like, actual monsters, and also use shadows as teleportation. So, there you go. So there you go. There's just a handful of villains. There's just a handful of villains I thought up for the Incredibles universe. I know a lot of people have thought of villains for the Incredibles universe, and I've seen a few videos here and there of people talking about them, but I was like, you know what? I want to do a video, too, talking about my Incredibles villains. I want to do a video talking about my versions of the Incredibles and their rogues gallery. So, yeah, I thought it'd just be kind of a fun thing to do. But yeah, I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. I know I'm probably forgetting someone. I am definitely... Oh yeah, I'm forgetting one! Comrade X. Comrade X was basically this, this Russian super soldier who was supposed to surpass Mr. Incredible. He's created by the Soviet Union, and his powers are similar to Mr. Incredible, only that the more Mr. Incredible punches him, the stronger he gets. So that was kind of the idea. Oh yeah, I can't believe I almost forgot Comrade X. So there you go. So you guys tell me in the comments below. What did you guys think of these original villains for Incredibles? Did you guys like them, hate them? And also, I'm curious if you guys thought of original villains for the Incredibles universe. Were they anti-heroes? Were they vigilantes? Were they just straight up villains? What were their motives? All that good stuff. But, yeah, just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.